Mr. Spence, call your next witness.
Call Mr. Lopez, please.
Mr. Lopez, please. Mr. Lopez, have you been sworn?
Yes, I have, sir.
Fine. If you would, please just have a seat right over here.
Mr. Lopez, tell the folks who you are.
My name is Edwin Lopez. I am an attorney now and was back in 1977 and 78 one of the research investigators for the House Select Committee on Assassinations.
Doing research for them.
Well, we were trying to determine whether Lee Harvey Oswald had in fact visited the Cuban and Soviet embassies in Mexico City.
Did you come to a conclusion?
Yes, we did.
What was your conclusion?
We had no choice but to conclude that he had not.
Now, would you give the ladies and gentlemen of the jury some facts upon which you base that conclusion, which is to say, Mr. Lopez, that there must have been an imposter there. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Would you explain why?
Well, as part of my job on the committee was to go through all the documents that the CIA would allow us to have access to. And part of those documents consisted of photographs that were taken from 3 different sites at the Cuban embassy in Mexico City during the time that Lee Harvey Oswald had allegedly visited that embassy. After reviewing all those photos, we found no photograph of Lee Harvey Oswald, even though they had photographers there around the clock.
3 photographers?
They had 3 photographers altogether.
3 photographers around the clock watching the embassies. Lee Harvey was supposed to have gone in there 3 times.
Correct.
Now, did you write a report?
We wrote a report that was approximately 280 pages that was classified.
And is your 280-page classified report classified today?
It is still classified.
Now, tell the folks of the jury whether or not you are under a secrecy oath.
Yes, I am.
And so there are many things that you know, Mr. Lopez, about this matter that you are not able to tell the jury because of your secrecy oath. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mr. Lopez, as a lawyer, you know that if Lee had lived and had been tried by a jury like these ladies and gentlemen, that one of 2 things would have happened. One, Lee could have required the production of all of those secret files that you've seen.
That is correct.
That you've been sworn to keep secret.
That is correct.
Lee, in one of his statements to the press, screamed out, "I am a patsy." Do you believe he was a patsy?
Yes, I do.
And from what you were able to see of the CIA and the rest, are you able to conclude whether or not they had the capacity, the ability to fake photographs?
Oh, there was no doubt. No doubt. In fact, we were given access to a certain file that's now public information called the ZR Rifle file that was written by the chief of the Western Hemisphere. And in that file, the chief talks about assassinations of leaders and how they could then go about covering up. And he talks about fake 201 files and fake identities and exactly, how you can make a patsy out of someone.
You talked about a fake 201 file. Was there a 201 file on Lee?
Oh, there was an extensive one.
All right. Now, what is business of the imposter? You say there was an imposter there, a man that's supposed to have been 35 years old with an athletic build, about 6 feet tall. Did the CIA tell anybody that this was supposed to be a friend of Lee's? Or was this supposed to be Lee?
Back in '63, they just said it was Lee.
In '63, in October of '63.
They just said that was supposed to be Lee Harvey Oswald.
A month before the president was killed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you know why somebody would be down in Mexico City a month before the president's assassination, posing as my client?
Well, the only plausible explanation is that they were trying to set him up.
Is that the conclusion that you came to?
Yes, it was.
You may examine.
Will she?
Mr. Lopez, do you believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was associated with the CIA in any way?
Oh, I have no doubt that he was in some way, yes.
Okay. Do you believe that the CIA may have set Lee Harvey Oswald up?
Not as an agency, no.
Okay, but maverick elements, rogues?
Some type of maverick element,
Okay,
yes.
and you believe that the CIA covered up for these rogue elephants?
That's their modus operandi.
Okay. Can you give us one tiny scrap of evidence?
I certainly can't, sir, because I'm
You
under
can't.
secrecy oath.
Okay, now do you or do you not believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was at the Cuban consulate on September the 27th, 1963, or at any time in September, October of 63?
I don't believe it, no.
Okay. You're aware of Sylvia Duran?
Oh, certainly, I questioned her.
Okay, you're aware of her testimony in front of the House Select Committee that she typed up the Cuban visa application for Oswald.
That's correct.
We see that on the screen. I think it's 172. Exhibit 172. Now, she testified she typed that up, and a handwriting fellow said that Oswald's signature is on there, but that doesn't convince you that it was Oswald at the Cuban consulate in Mexico City on September the 27th. Is that correct?
Well, she could never tell us that he had signed it in her presence. We talked to her for hours. She could never describe him correctly to us, his height, the color of his hair. I mean, none of the descriptions matched.
Okay.
We had other
Okay.
testimony from people in the embassy that said that it was not
But the
Oswald
House Select
also.
Committee concluded that Duran was identifying Oswald. Is that not so?
Sir, I couldn't at all
All right.
vouch for all the work that they did, unfortunately.
You're aware that Sylvia Duran testified in front of the House Select Committee that she gave Oswald her name on a piece of paper with the Cuban consulate phone number on it, 11-28-47. You're aware of that?
At least that she gave someone
Okay.
who said they were Oswald.
Are you aware of this phone number surfacing again in a way that supports the conclusion that it, in fact, was Oswald?
I think you'll have to refresh my recollection.
Okay. Off the top of your head, you're not aware of it. Is that correct?
I just don't remember.
Let's
it
look
now.
at Exhibit 245. Presently on the screen, Mr. Lopez, is a page from Oswald's address book found at his residence after his arrest, and lo and behold, we see Sylvia Duran's name and the phone number 11-28-47. Were you aware of this, Mr. Lopez?
Now that I see it, yes, I
But
was.
that doesn't satisfy you either. Is that correct?
No, sir.
Can you tell the jury then whether you think Oswald was in Mexico City at all in late September of 63?
Oh, I think he was, yes.
Is it possible that he was trying to get to Cuba?
Sir, based on the information that we had, I would venture to say that it's not possible.
You certainly don't suspect the Secret Service of being involved in the assassination, do you?
No.
But if there was a conspiracy to set up Oswald, it would have been hatched a long time ago, months earlier. Is that correct?
Certainly.
Okay. Are you aware, Mr. Lopez, that the motorcade route which took the president past the book depository building was decided upon by Secret Service agents Lawson and Sorrells on November the 14th, 1963, just 9 days before the assassination, and it wasn't furnished to the Dallas Police Department until November the 18th, just 5 days before the assassination? Were you aware of that?
Certainly.
So these conspirators then, way back a couple months earlier, when they were hatching this conspiracy to frame Oswald, how extraordinarily lucky they were that a couple months later, the President of the United States happens to go to Dallas and drive slowly by Oswald's sixth-floor window with the top of the car down. Extraordinarily lucky. Isn't that right, sir?
I wouldn't call it lucky. I mean,
What-
there's always contact, sir.
Yeah. But don't you think...
As a person who
conspirators-
worked with the agency for a year and a half, I can tell you that they have contacts in every agency.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Lopez, thank you very much. You may step down. Call your next witness.